He struck in the shadows of Victorian London. 5 women butchered, no arrests, no justice. And over 130 years later, still no name. Jack the Ripper isn't just a mystery. He's a mirror, reflecting everything society failed to protect. And in 2025, with DNA, AI, and digitized archives, the question remains: soot-stained bricks, a shadow moved with surgical precision. How is this case still unsolved? If you're drawn to dark history, buried truths, and stories that demand justice, like, comment, and subscribe to Beneath the Narrative. Because this isn't just a murder mystery, it's a legacy of silence we're about to break. In the heart of Victorian London, beneath gaslit alleys, he struck swiftly, vanished silently, and left behind a trail of mutilated bodies and unanswered questions. Over 130 years later, the name still chills the spine: Jack the Ripper. This is not just a story of murder. It's a story of obsession, forensic failure, media frenzy, and a mystery that refuses to die. In 2025, with DNA technology, AI analysis, and digitized archives, the question remains: how is Jack the Ripper still unsolved? Chapter 1. The Autumn of Terror. The year was 1888. The place: Whitechapel, East London. A district plagued by poverty, overcrowding, and desperation. It was a melting pot of immigrants, laborers, and sex workers, many living in lodging houses or sleeping rough. Crime was rampant, and the police were stretched thin. Between August and November, 5 women were murdered in ways that shocked even hardened detectives. Their names became infamous: Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly. Collectively, they are known as the Canonical Five. Each killing bore hallmarks of ritualistic violence. Throats slashed, organs removed, bodies posed. The killer seemed to operate with anatomical knowledge, perhaps a butcher, surgeon, or mortuary assistant. The murders escalated in brutality, suggesting a growing compulsion. The press dubbed the killer Jack the Ripper after a letter, possibly a hoax, was sent to the Central News Agency, signed with that chilling pseudonym. The name stuck and the legend was born. Chapter 2. The victims behind the headlines. The Ripper's victims were not just statistics. They were women with histories, struggles, and humanity, often erased by sensational headlines. And Mary Ann Nichols, 43, was the first. Found on Bucks Row, her throat was cut twice and her abdomen slashed. She had 5 children but was estranged from her husband. She turned to sex work to survive. Annie Chapman, 47, was discovered in a backyard on Hanbury Street. Her uterus had been removed with precision. She suffered from tuberculosis and alcoholism. Witnesses saw her with a man shortly before dawn. Elizabeth Stride, 45, was found in Dutfield's yard. Her throat was cut, but her body was otherwise untouched, possibly interrupted mid-act. She was Swedish, had survived domestic abuse, and was known for her resilience. Catherine Eddowes, 46, was found less than an hour later in Mitre Square. Her face was mutilated, her kidney removed. A piece of her apron was found nearby, smeared with blood. She was intelligent, witty, and had a partner named John Kelly. Mary Jane Kelly, just 25, was the most gruesome. Found in her room at Miller's Court, her body was virtually unrecognizable. Organs were strewn across the room. Her heart was missing. She was younger, more educated, and possibly pregnant. These women were mothers, daughters, survivors. Their stories were lost beneath lurid speculation. Today, historians and activists seek to restore their dignity, remembering them not as victims, but as people. Chapter 3. The Letters and the Media Circus. 3 letters stand out in the Ripper case. 1. The Dear Boss letter received by the Central News Agency on September 27, 1888. It mocked the police and promised more killings. Signed Jack the Ripper, it was published widely, sparking panic. The saucy Jackie postcard arrived on October 1st, referencing the double murder of Stride and Eddowes. It claimed credit and taunted investigators. 3. The From Hell letter sent directly to George Lusk of the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee. It came with half a human kidney, allegedly from Eddowes. The letter was crudely written, with poor spelling and grammar. Were these letters authentic? Linguistic analysis suggests multiple authors. The From Hell letter, with its visceral detail and anatomical reference, remains the most convincing. But hoaxes were rampant. Journalists may have fabricated letters to boost sales. Copycats flooded the mail. The media frenzy fueled public hysteria. Newspapers sold out. The name Jack the Ripper became legend. But it also hindered the investigation, spreading false leads, inciting mobs, and overwhelming police resources. Chapter 4. The suspects. Then and now, over 100 suspects have been proposed. Some plausible, some absurd. Let's examine the most enduring. Historical suspects. Montague, John Druitt, a barrister and teacher who committed suicide shortly after the last murder. His death coincided with the end of the killings. Some officials believed he was the Ripper, but no direct evidence links him. Aaron Kosminski, a Polish Jewish immigrant with documented mental illness. He was institutionalized and known to hate women. In 2014, a shawl allegedly linked to Eddowes was tested for DNA and pointed to Kosminski. But contamination and chain of custody issues cast doubt. Michael Ostrog, a Russian conman and lunatic. He was in and out of institutions, but records suggest he wasn't in London during the murders. Francis Tumblety, an American quack doctor with misogynistic tendencies. He fled to the US after being arrested for gross indecency. Scotland Yard kept tabs on him but never charged him. Prince Albert Victor, Queen Victoria's grandson. Conspiracy theorists claim royal cover-up. Some suggest he had syphilis-induced psychosis, but timelines and lack of motive make this unlikely. Modern suspects. James Maybrick, a Liverpool cotton merchant. A diary surfaced in the 1990s claiming he was the Ripper. It described the murders in detail. Experts remain divided on its authenticity. Walter Sickert, a British painter obsessed with the murders. Patricia Cornwell's book claimed he was the killer, citing handwriting and mitochondrial DNA. But her evidence was circumstantial and widely criticized. Charles Lechmere, a carman who discovered Nichols' body. Some theorists believe he was the killer and staged the discovery. His route and timeline raise questions. Each suspect reflects a theory: psychological, forensic, conspiratorial. But none have been definitively proven. Chapter 5. Forensics and failures. Why couldn't Victorian police catch him? No fingerprinting. The technique wasn't used until 1901. Crime scenes lacked preservation protocols. No DNA. Biological evidence was collected haphazardly. Blood, hair, and tissue were not analyzed. Crime scene contamination. Crowds gathered before police arrived. Evidence was trampled, moved, or stolen. Poor communication. Rivalries between Scotland Yard and city police led to fragmented investigations. Social bias. Victims were seen as expendable. Their deaths weren't prioritized. Sex workers were marginalized. Lack of profiling. The concept of criminal psychology was in its infancy. Investigators focused on physical clues, not behavioral patterns. In 2025, we have tools they couldn't dream of. AI pattern recognition, analyzing witness statements, timelines, and geographic patterns. Genealogical DNA tracing, using family trees to identify suspects. Digital reconstruction, rebuilding crime scenes and victim profiles. Yet the case remains officially unsolved. The trail is cold. The evidence degraded. The killer's identity may be lost to time. Chapter 6. The Ripper's Legacy. Jack the Ripper changed everything. Criminal profiling. The case inspired early psychological analysis. Dr. Thomas Bond's profile described a sadistic antisocial killer. Media sensationalism. It showed how press could shape public perception. Headlines drove fear and fascination. Urban fear. It exposed the dangers of industrial poverty and neglect. Whitechapel became a symbol of societal failure. Myth-making. The Ripper became a symbol of evil, mystery, and unresolved trauma. He inspired books, films, games, and tours. But beneath the entertainment lies real pain. 5 women died. Their killer walked free. Their stories were distorted, their humanity erased. Today, activists and historians seek to reclaim their narratives. Memorials have been erected. Documentaries focus on their lives, not just their deaths. Chapter 7. Why it still matters in 2025. Why does this case still grip us? It's unsolved. Humans crave closure. The lack of resolution haunts us. It's archetypal, the faceless killer. The vulnerable victims. The fog,